The delicate clinking of silverware against fine china was a cruel, mocking symphony underscoring the farce unfolding before me. It should have been a celebration, our 10th anniversary. 10 years of laughter, struggle, passion, and quiet moments shared in the sacred privacy of marriage. I had envisioned something intimate, just Rose and me, a quiet dinner in the dim glow of candles, reminiscing about our shared journey, toasting to endurance and love. Instead, I found myself seated across from Troy, her friend, or so she had insisted. He wore a smug grin, the kind that slithered under your skin like a parasite, and each time his eyes met Rose's, my stomach twisted with a sickness I couldn't ignore. At first, I had explained it all away. The looks, the low, lingering laughter, the subtle touches that stretched just a second too long. I had convinced myself I was being paranoid, reading too much into ordinary moments. I told myself I was imagining the tension. But tonight, there was no room for doubt. Tonight, Rose sealed my suspicion with a wink, a bold, deliberate wink aimed at Troy. It wasn't playful. It wasn't innocent. It was intimate, confident, a silent confession exchanged across the table with a man who was not her husband. The world tilted slightly. My vision tunneled as heat surged in my chest. The blood roared in my ears so loudly that I couldn't hear the soft jazz playing in the background anymore. I wanted to scream, to tip the table over and shatter every glass in the room. But I didn't. I held it in, because I had a plan crafted with the same precision and patience I had once used to build our life together. This wasn't a burst of fury. This was a performance I had choreographed to perfection. When dessert arrived, tiramisu, her favorite, I pulled out a small velvet box. I placed it on the table with practiced care, sliding it toward her with a faint smile that masked the storm beneath my skin. Her eyes lit up. I watched the flicker of joy, of greedy anticipation, take root in her expression. The box was nearly identical to the one I had used to propose all those years ago. Her hand trembled slightly as she opened it. Then the light in her eyes vanished. It was empty. A hush fell over the table. A gasp escaped her lips, delicate and strangled. Even Troy, with all his false confidence, faltered. I leaned back in my chair, folding my hands slowly, deliberately. "Where's the necklace, honey?" she asked, her voice thin, brittle. "You said you'd seen one last week." "I did," I replied casually, lifting my wine glass. "Thought it would be perfect for our anniversary." My voice was light, almost playful, as if we were discussing dinner reservations or weekend plans. But my gaze was locked on her face, studying the cracks spreading through her porcelain mask. She blinked rapidly, struggling to regain composure. I don't understand." "Strange," I murmured. "It was right here in this box just this morning." But then I had another idea, something a bit more memorable. I reached into my jacket and withdrew a small USB drive. Her breath caught. She recognized it immediately. Her reaction betrayed her. I stood, walked to the nearby wall where I had discreetly set up a small projector before dinner, and plugged the drive in. The screen flickered to life. Photographs appeared, one after the other, each one capturing what they thought were private moments. Rose and Troy, embracing in his apartment. A kiss stolen, in the parking lot behind her office. More images followed, grainy but damning. Her lips pressed his neck, her fingers tangled in his hair. Then came the footage. A short video, only a few minutes long, but more than enough to expose the rot beneath their smiles. The date stamped on the file said it all. The anniversary trip I couldn't attend last year. The one she claimed she'd taken with her girlfriends. The silence in the restaurant was thunderous. Rose was pale, her hands shaking, tears silently slipping down her cheeks, streaking her mascara. Troy's cocky demeanor had evaporated, leaving behind a man suddenly very small, staring at the screen like he could rewind time with sheer will. He opened his mouth to speak, but no words came out. The weight of the evidence crushed them both. I turned back to them, voice low and lethal. "I always thought we were a team," I said, "partners in everything. But I guess not all partnerships are meant to last." I crossed the room in slow, deliberate steps and stopped in front of Troy. My hand grabbed the front of his shirt and yanked him from his chair. The screech of the wooden legs against the polished floor was sharp, jarring. "You!" I growled, my face inches from his, had the audacity to sit at my table, to look me in the eye, to act like a friend. He tried to stammer out a denial, but I didn't let him. I slammed him into the wall, the impact loud enough to make the glasses on the table tremble. Gasps echoed around us. Diners frozen in stunned silence. Troy's eyes were wide with panic. But I didn't see guilt there, only the cowardice of a man who never thought he'd get caught. "You're a parasite," I spat, my fist tightening, "feeding on what doesn't belong to you." And then I hit him. The first punch was clean, the second louder. I lost count after that. Weeks, months of betrayal poured out of me, each blow a release of the agony I had been bottling up. He curled in on himself, sobbing, begging, covering his face, but I wasn't finished. Not yet. The staff rushed in, trying to pull me away. I heard shouting. Someone called the police. But I wasn't thinking anymore. I was feeling. Every punch, every kick, every movement was a cathartic scream that my voice had never managed to give. Eventually, hands stronger than mine gripped my shoulders and dragged me back. I let them. My chest was heaving, my knuckles slick with blood, but a strange calm began to settle over me. It was cold, quiet, almost peaceful. The police arrived. Statements were taken. Troy was led away in handcuffs, his face swollen, his lips split, his eyes no longer smug, just broken. He looked exactly how he deserved to look. Rose was crumpled on the floor, a mess of mascara and trembling limbs, her cries echoing through the room. She reached for me, sobbing, saying my name like it could still mean something. I didn't flinch. I simply walked over, removed my wedding ring, and dropped it in front of her. The dull clink as it hit the floor was the sound of a decade dying. "Congratulations, Rose," I said softly. "You've destroyed our marriage." And with that, I walked out of the restaurant. There was no destination in mind, no plan past that moment. But as I stepped out into the cool night air, I felt something uncoil inside me. I was done. I was finally free. The fallout was swift and brutal. News of the incident spread quickly. The footage, the fight, it all found its way online. Troy's reputation was annihilated, his job gone. His name became synonymous with scandal and shame. He was a pariah overnight. Rose tried to reach out in the aftermath. Texts, voicemails, emails, pleading for forgiveness, asking for another chance. But my heart was no longer hers. It had become something else entirely. Cold, hardened, finished. The divorce was swift, ruthless. The only ones who benefited were the lawyers. She walked away with nothing but regret and silence. I walked away with scars, but also with the unshakable strength of survival. It wasn't a happy ending. Not in the storybook sense. But it was an ending, and it was mine. I had faced a fire, walked through it, and come out the other side changed, but not destroyed. There was power in that. A victory not of triumph, but of endurance. And in that quiet strength, I found something close to peace.